Hey guys, Doug with Pneumatic Rifleman. So today we're going to be going over the WERKZ M6 holster system. This has been my primary way of carrying a gun for the last little bit less than a year and a half. Now this will be kind of an overview, kind of a review, because I do have experience and exposure to the company. I worked with them from June of 2020 to October of 2020. And then I left there once I moved back to Alaska because working in manufacturing from 2,000 miles away, little difficult. So I might have some reserve biases with the company, so I'll disclose those right up front. But for me personally, I don't really care, honestly. Um, Personal bias has just never been something that's affected me. I don't care if we're related. I don't care if I've worked with you. I don't care if we're friends. If you're doing something that's shitty, I'm going to talk about it being shitty. If you're doing something that's pretty good, I'm going to talk about it being pretty good. So that being said, I'm going to talk frankly about the holster and my experiences with it and what issues I've had, what things I've run into, what things I like, what things I don't like. So, and I'm no longer affiliated with WERKZ in any way. I will probably carry their products once I start working once I start doing retail related stuff. I will carry their products because I believe in their products, but that has nothing to do with my relationship with them. That being said, the holster's great. I mean, I'll talk about the stuff I don't like first, just to get that out of the way. So the only thing I don't like about this holster, honestly, and it's also a thing I like about it at the same time, so I can't even say that. If you don't Loctite the holster, so what I mean by that is take the screws apart, degrease them, put blue Loctite on them, and then attach your screwing, any of your screw points. What can happen is they can back out on you. Now, it's also nice to have the option of adjusting your tension, because some holster companies rivet them in place to a point that you can't adjust the tension, so you really are kind of stuck with whatever you get. With the WERKZ holster, you can kind of set it to how you like, Loctite it down, and you're pretty much good to go. I haven't applied Loctite, so I've had to, check on the screws. That's honestly an end user issue, not really a manufacturing issue or a company issue with WERKZ. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing I have ran into, this is on their old claws. That look the same, but use I guess that we can call it like the first gen material. If you have this nice solid material right here, if it doesn't have like white whisks inside the material, then what you have is not going to be affected. If you buy a holster after this video is made, I believe they're using these new claws on everything, so I would be completely confident moving forward. I wouldn't worry about it. But the old claws, I broke both of the ones that I had. Then I let them know I got a replacement for it, and I put the new ones on. I haven't had an issue since. And I mean, I've done a lot in this holster as far as working pretty vigorously and doing all the other stuff that you do as as a person, running prone, putting stuff on top of the claw. Like, I haven't had any issues whatsoever, and I've given it every opportunity to have issues. So that being said, that's really a non-issue anymore, assuming you don't already have one of the first generation claws. Everything else is solid about this holster, honestly. All right, guys, I forgot to talk about one thing in this video, so I'm just going to throw it in really fast here at the beginning, starting with the pros. So we haven't actually gone through and properly tensioned this down, so this will be a little bit exaggerated, but you see this gap right here? Okay, so on a weapon-mounted light holster, this whole holster has to act as a funnel for this weapon light to access the holster. The pistol grip and trigger guard are thinner than the weapon light, so you're going to have a gap here. Now on the WERKZ holster, we have a very, very unexaggerated gap. So you can see here, there's a very small area left open for that weapon light to go through. It's just wide enough to make reholstering easy and efficient. So when you get here, you have a less exaggerated gap. Now, obviously, when it's on your belt, this is even smaller. So the gap is much less exaggerated than other holsters I have used, especially the tier 1 concealment holster I had, which I literally would find like debris in my trigger guard, which when you carry appendix can be quite concerning. This gap is about as small as you can make it without being obtrusive. This whole holster, even though it looks large because it is a full length, this is size for Glock 34, which is flush with the X300. That allows you to have a straight holster here, which is actually more comfortable than having a pressure point at your light. So this holster, other than that, is literally as minimalistic as it could be, other than that and the fact that it's set for suppressor height sights. This holster is very minimalistic. I understand that it looks like a big holster, but it literally is just the size it could be. I compared this to my NSR C1, I think it was, and it is, except for the weapon light and it being a full-size gun size holster, which is actually nice because it provides also provides some standoff from your barrel. If you've ever done a heavier shooting day and then bent over to load a mag or something and sizzled that barrel into your crotch area, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. So a little bit of standoff, pretty nice to have. And this is a Glock 17 in here right now, and you still have that standoff, which is really nice. But yeah, so I wanted to mention this gap being much less over exaggerated than some other holsters, which is very nice to have that extra trigger protection, which is the #1 job of the holster other than to hold a gun. And then also I wanted to mention that these lines right here, the edges of the holster, are very well polished. And they put way more effort into this than they need to. I don't know if they still do that or not, but that's pretty sweet. So I wanted to mention the holster gap right here, which is much less exaggerated than other holsters, and the minimalistic nature of the holster, and then this pretty nice polishing job that they put on these holsters. So we'll add this in and then get into the rest of the video. All of their M6 holsters, as far as I'm aware, come optic ready, so they're not going to interfere with your optics. They all come with a high sweat guard. You can cut that down lower if you'd like. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I think they have resources on how to do that on their website, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong, so let me know. The sight channel is going to be high enough for suppressor height sights if you're running those in conjunction with an optic or just because you have them. The way that they're cut and straightforward like this allows them to be used with compensators if you're running something like that. So that's pretty sweet. Here on the X300 model, they are designed for both the X300A and B models. So if you have the quick attach or the screw-on one, it doesn't matter. You can use both of them. They're pretty slick holsters, honestly. There's a lot of versatility built into them. They have these accessory holes right here that you can use for attaching other things like mag caddies, knife sheaths. I believe they're working on a couple other things as well. I don't know for sure, but these holsters are pretty slick and I'm a big fan of them. I have them set up, of course, with soft loops. That's my preferred method of carry. Make sure you have your soft loops sized and cut down to your actual belt size. That way they're holding your gun more securely. I like running the single strap personally. Again, this is a personal thing, so do you how you do you. But what I like is running the single strap, because what that allows me to do when I sit down, now you can see this holster, oh look at that, my zipper's down, that's funny. My holster comes down fairly far, so when I sit down, it can be a little uncomfortable. There's two ways to go about that, especially when you're carrying a full-size light. You can hike your pants up just a hair like that when you go to sit down, and when you have a single holster, you can just grab your gun and just cant it over a little bit, angle it out, and that takes a lot of the pressure off your leg. The inside of your thigh can get really worn down on if you drive for long periods of time with your holster on. If you just hike your pants up a bit and kick your gun over just a hair, I mean, it gets really, you don't notice it anymore, and it's super comfortable. Now, of course, when you're running like this, you're gonna have to just hike those pants up and work with what you got. But honestly, with that just hiking the pants up trick, it makes a significant difference. Now, I love running this. I'm running this currently because just out of convenience, but this is my preferred method of carry when I am with family. When I'm with people that I really care about, I will always carry an extra magazine because I want to be able to have a little bit more security options when I'm with people that I care about. If it's just me out in town, I'll generally get a little lazy with it, but that is what it is. So here I've got I've got it set up so that everything is nice and even on my belt line, and I can get easy access and exposure to that mag caddy when I'm reinserting the magazine. I'll try to roll in a clip here going over that. But yeah. Alright guys, so I couldn't find a video to demonstrate what I was talking about, so really quickly, what I'm referring to is when you re-index magazines into the holster, it is pretty easy to do so with the beveling out of that magazine caddy. So if you need to top off your gun, you can just go ahead and do that. And re-indexing the magazine is extremely straightforward and simple to get into. I've never had a problem re-accessing that, re-indexing that mag. It's with that slight bevel, it makes it really nice and easy. Even if you get a little bit of sure fabric in there, you can push past it, and it's not been a problem for me. So hopefully that's helpful in describing what I'm talking about there. Guys, there's not much to talk about. It's a piece of Kydex that is well designed and formed to fit a gun with a carry light. If you can find your gun light combination on their website, I highly recommend going to WERKZ.com and picking one up. If you're like most people and you're going to buy a carry gun and a light, and you're going to run that, and you're not going to be switching around a bunch of different options, then I think this is an excellent option. If you're going to buy a Glock 19 and an X300 or a Glock 19 and a TLR1, then this is the way to go, in my opinion. A dedicated holster to your specific gun type and light is an excellent way to go, with great flexibility on growing your system or shrinking it back down as your context demands. So take that for what you will. This will be my first product review. I'm not really sure how it's going to go. I might end up redoing it, but we'll see. Till next time, guys, this has been Doug, the Medical Rifleman, because everywhere deserves good and capable riflemen. Y'all have a great day.